Welcome to the Bucher and Friends podcast. Here is your host.
Let's send it over to Rick Bucher.
Rick Bucher.
Welcome to another episode of Bucher and Friends, part of the United WeCast Network. I'm Rick Bucher. You can see me on FS1, you can read me on Bleacher Report, and you can follow me on Twitter at Rick Bucher. You can also follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Bucher Friends. This podcast is a conversation I had with DeMarcus Cousins at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel on April 3rd, the evening before the Warriors played the Lakers near the end of the regular season. The documentary that I reference at the start is Resurgence, the name of the doc that DeMarcus did in conjunction with Showtime. It details his departure from Sacramento, his stay in New Orleans, and then the devastating Achilles tendon injury and arduous return from that, and then eventual signing with the Warriors. The interview took place in a hotel room jam-packed with Warriors merchandise to be autographed. And DeMarcus sat at a table, and stack after stack of jerseys were placed in front of him, and then he would sign on the number on the back with a Sharpie, and an assistant would snatch away the jersey so he could sign the next one. When his Sharpie started to run dry, they'd hand him another Sharpie. It was quite the assembly line. It was factory-like. And my digital recorder was on the signing table, so any extraneous noise you might hear is due to that. And my apologies. Didn't originally think that I was going to utilize this as a podcast, but I thought there was value in sharing it because it gives you a glimpse into DeMarcus's mood before he sustained yet another injury, this time a torn left quad muscle. He was chasing a loose ball in the first quarter of the Warriors' Game 2 playoff loss to the Clippers. Now, he's not expected back and may have very well played his last game for the Warriors, which makes me wonder what's going to happen to all those jerseys, among other things. But if there were concerns around the league about DeMarcus's future viability after the Achilles tear, sustaining the quad injury, especially without any sort of contact or collision, is really going to make NBA GMs hesitant to sign him to a deal of any length or value. I've already had a GM tell me that. The mountain that DeMarcus is climbing just got infinitely steeper. But as you'll hear, he didn't imagine himself anywhere near the summit anyway. Here's my conversation with DeMarcus.
All right. First question I have is, why did you do the doc? Not knowing, I mean, you started working on the doc before you knew what the ending was going to be.
All right. So why did I?
Yeah. Why'd you do it?
Well, one, I guess you could say it's for my own personal pleasure and, I guess family and friends. And, I felt like it was a big part of my life, a big part of my career, a controversial part, of my life and career. And, it's kind of just something you want to go back and look back on. That's one thing. And it's also just to kind of have a chance to tell my story through it all. And, with that being said, it's been a lot of ups and downs so far through it. And, it's also something you can just kind of go look back on and appreciate. I know I feel that way about it, and hopefully it can do the same for the next person.
I just know that a lot of guys would not want to have themselves as vulnerable, seen as vulnerable as you were going through the process.
Uh-huh.
That at some point they go, I don't need anybody to see me, I can't walk, or I got a cast on,
right.
Or, I'm struggling.
Mm-hmm.
What made you okay with sharing that?
Well, the biggest thing, I'm a pretty confident guy. I'm super comfortable in my own skin, and but also to show like this is real life stuff that we go through. To the people that's kind of on the outside looking in, they're so quick to kind of be overlooked, all the things that we go through on a daily basis, or the things that don't get the credit and that's glorified when it comes to just this whole process of being a professional athlete. All you see is the kind of the glam and the glory that comes along with it, but you don't see the trials and tribulations that we go through on a daily basis. So, hopefully it's kind of an eye-opening experience for those people as well to see, like, it's a real life grind that we go through on a daily.
Yeah. How do you think this has changed you as a person?
If anything, it intensified my previous thoughts that I already had, and when it just came to the reality of the business, the reality of just the sport in general, my personal values when it comes to just life and business. So I've always had a unique, or not, I won't say unique, but a more realistic view of how things kind of operate. And I can just say it just intensified that, maybe times 10, maybe times 100.
Where is your trust level with people in basketball?
No such thing.
What is that a result of?
Past experiences, just kind of dealing with the bullshit of this journey with basketball. And it's crazy because it started off as just a childhood hobby that you grow to love, and it quickly turns into something else, and in some ways a monster. So just kind of dealing with all those experiences. I was victim to those experiences, and I've developed walls, I've developed barriers, I've developed good habits and bad habits, and these are the results of it.
The experience with the Warriors, how has that impacted your view of playing in the NBA?
It's been fun, man. Like, I enjoy playing with good talent. I enjoy playing for a purpose. You can see the good and the bad in this business. You can see where at one point it was, just kind of playing for nothing, and then you can see I've been in organizations that kind of play for nothing, and then now I'm in an organization where everything means something. So it's like night and day.
Do you ever think about what your career would have been like if you had started with an organization like the Warriors?
Every day. Every day.
How do you think it would be different?
I can't really answer that because I don't really know. Maybe a lot of, trials and tribulations that I went through, maybe I wouldn't have had to go through that, or maybe it could have been easier. Maybe it would have been a lot harder because maybe I wouldn't have been ready for those moments. So when I say I think about it, I think about it from every angle, not just, me feeling like I would have had my way or it would have been, better, because I really don't know. Maybe all those hard times and, tough situations that I went through prepared me for this moment. So that's kind of how I really think about it. And to answer your question, I really don't know how it would have gone.
In the rehab process, what was the exercise that you hated the most? That if you never have to do it again, you'd be glad? Or there was a machine, whatever it was, something that you were just like, this was the worst.
It was this one machine where, not Pilates. Heel raises suck, but
Your calf raising.
Calf raises, yeah, for sure. But it was this machine, and it was a game, and it was basically a leg press, but it was almost like, I don't know, but basically it's like a ball, and you kind of got to go through an obstacle course, yeah. And if you touch any parts of the wall, you lose the points.
It measures, but you control the ball.
But you're controlling it with your legs. Oh my! It was the worst ever. Like, and they were usually only kind of make me do it like once a week. Every part of that week, it was like doomsday for me. Like,
did you know it was coming, or were they?
Yeah, I knew at some point in the week it was coming. So I would probably say that.
But it wasn't the same day, so it was like They just say, okay,
It would
today
be
we're going to do.
it would be randomly throughout the week.
Yeah.
So definitely that.
How has this whole experience changed the way you think about basketball?
It's business. That's how I look at it now. It's a business, and that's how I approach it every day.
What does it feel like now? Your Achilles, like that leg, like, compared to before and now.
It feels brand new.
There's no you don't feel any like tug or scar tissue or
Nothing.
or weakness, nothing.
Nothing. Feels brand new. Shout out to Dr. Ferkel.
What is the work you have to do to keep it right?
It's just a lot of maintenance work, a lot of strength work. It's I feel like it's a non-ending process as of right now because obviously I'm still playing catch up and building strength in it, and and there's almost everything else that you almost have to worry about because I took a year away from basketball, so muscles and body parts that were used to doing certain things aren't used to doing it anymore. So I've been on record saying this before. It's not my Achilles that I'm worried about. It's everything else. So just trying to maintain my body, keep it, tuned up as much as possible, and just trying to maintain. So hopefully I don't, get another injury. So,
Sure.
And that was probably the most preached thing to me going through this process is how much you gotta work and take care of your body, because one thing about injuries, once you kind of get your first major one, it kind of opens the door for all the others. So that's just my main concern, and that's been my main thing when it comes to what I want to prevent.
Is there a way to compare your experience? I guess Sacramento would be the other end of the spectrum from what you're experiencing now, as far as franchises. Is that fair to say?
New Orleans as well.
Okay. Is there a way to define the difference between those franchises and what you experienced there versus what you're seeing and experiencing now?
I would just say and I got nothing but love for Sacramento. Like, I love the place. I love the people there. I love the organization. I love the city. But it was like a revolving door, like, of change. Every single year I was playing, for another coach. And even if the situation was working, it was another change. I went through 3 GMs. I went through 2 owners. Like, it was always something. So I don't really think you can ever find success when there's no, stability.
Yeah.
And that's all and regardless, and I was so stubborn in those situations, regardless of what was going on around me, all I wanted was to win. And I felt like I could make it happen regardless of the that was going on around me. And, that's damn near impossible, honestly. So, and with, Golden State, I mean, it's kind of, it's stability. We know what's in place. We know at the beginning of the year, we all know what we're playing for. Mm-hmm. We know we're coming in preparing for, a championship run. And that's the difference. And in Sacramento, we didn't know what we were preparing for. Mm-hmm. We don't know if we were preparing for, a playoff run, or are we preparing to, get a new coach for the next year? So that's the difference.
How does this change your feelings about moving forward, where you want to play, the contract versus franchise, like all the factors that you're weighing in where you go and what you're playing for?
At the end of the day, I'm gonna put myself in a position to succeed, and that's all I'm looking for.
And what does that mean, though?
In every aspect that comes with this. If it's not in a position where I know I can come out successful in the end, I'm not really looking to be a part of it.
Gotcha.
because I've went through the bullshit already. If it's not a situation where everything is moving forward, I don't really want to be a part of it.
Are the Warriors still an option, a possibility?
That I can't answer right now, and that's not really my focus. So I don't know.
Where does this story end? What's the ideal ending?
Well, the ideal ending will hopefully be some fairy tale ending. You know, I ride off in the sunset happy. That's the ideal ending, but I don't know. This is a book that's being read and written at the same time.
Yes, I know, which is like the fact that you're open to doing this is the part that I'm still trying to wrap, or that Drew is open to you doing this is still the part that kind of I'm wrapping my head around, because it's putting yourself out there, living this on Front Street, and not knowing whether it's going to be a success or a failure, or you're going to achieve what you, an excessive failure may be extreme, but that you're going to get where you want to get to, and that the entire world's going to watch you do that or not.
And I'm that confident in my abilities that it'll go the way that we have planned. I'm that confident.
What you mentioned in the movie that you learn some things, and you learn some things about yourself going through the process. Mm-hmm. What is it that you learn?
I'm stubborn. I never accept being told what I can't do, what I can't achieve. I'll never let a person that not with me on my daily grind and this journey called life to tell me what I'm not capable of, or to tell me what my worth is, or tell me or determine who I am as a person. I'm not willing to accept it, and I won't accept it. And if I go out bad, I'm gonna go out on my own terms, and I'm okay with that, because I went out, being DeMarcus, compared to going out doing it the way that they feel I'm supposed to do it.
Has it been everything that you went through to get back? Has it already been worth it, or are you still waiting for the payoff for what it took?
I mean, one, it's just fun to be playing basketball again, because at the end of the day, that's what I love to do. Like, I love the game of basketball. So just being able to do that has been a reward in itself. But, the end goal, obviously, is to find success down the road and reach all the goals that I want to reach. We'll see what happens.
At what point did you exhale? Did you go?
I haven't.
Okay. Because?
It's not time to. I'll do that when I'm done.
You had a pretty phenomenal night last night.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't talk to anybody after.
Yep.
I would think that there would be celebration, or there would be like, yes.
What's there to celebrate?
To me, you passed another milestone.
Right.
So why not enjoy it a little bit?
It's a marathon. It's not a sprint.
Okay. So is it, by not talking, it's just maintaining the fuel, or?
Oh, no, that was more of, you ever heard the term keep the same energy?
Yeah.
Because, a month ago I was a liability. I was the downfall. And now all of a sudden it's, everybody wants to, keep the same energy. Keep pushing those same stories. That's actually what I need. So.
Is this a part of the evolution of DeMarcus? I have a feeling like maybe in a previous, prior to all this, you might have either crowed or reacted or done something. You wouldn't have done it this way. You wouldn't have maintained the same energy.
I've actually always done it this way. It's just I allowed the outside to get a reaction out of me. And now I don't. I just walk a straight line. I keep my goals and everything I want to accomplish in mind, and I call it maneuvering through the bullshit. Okay. And I stay quiet.
At what point did you adopt that to the level that you are now? You set your mind that this is how I'm going to approach this.
I believe it kind of started in NOLA when that whole move happened. Because, like I said, I would allow a lot of outside people I allow them to get a reaction out of me. And would I change anything that I've done in the past? No. Because my heart's always in the right place. Like, I'm never the guy to be moving around with ill intent or evil vendetta or anything like of that matter. But so I know my heart's always in the right place, and I know what I'm about as a person and a human being. But when you allow the outside noise in, and then you let it kind of, I guess you could say, pierce your spirit, then you can't blame anybody but yourself. So, I sat back, I reflected, as I usually do through all my mistakes, and, I try to make change. And that's all I'm trying to do.
Among the people around you through this process, who did you learn the most about?
Probably myself. Because I've always... What do you mean, well, my circle or just...
Yeah.
Myself, because I always felt I've had a perfect circle of people. Like, so I've never questioned them. But if you ask anybody close to me, when goes wrong, the first person I'm gonna look at is myself. Like, and what I can do better to correct the situation. And then from that point, then I start dissecting everything else. So, myself.
What's it like to be sitting here signing all these autographs?
It sucks.
Let me finish.
You don't mean that.
My hand hurts. It sucks.
But thinking about, I have the visions of you. The vision of you in bed days after the injury.
Mm-hmm.
And you can hear the sound from the TV, you're watching a game, and you're eating. And it feels like, I think of that vision, and I think of this right here, and those are two different worlds.
Absolutely.
The idea that you were there, and you're now, you have a uniform to autograph. You have all of this. What's it like to be sitting here doing this, thinking about where you were then?
I never really like to look back. I'm a day-to-day guy, and that's kind of how I want to move as well. It's never get too high, never get too low, and just stay steady through it all and maneuver through the bullshit.
What was the most challenging moment for you in trying to maintain that through this process? The point that tested you the most, as far as I want to keep this moving forward?
Probably the process, kind of learning how to walk, learning how to run, like an athlete again. That was a process that kind of felt like it would never end. And from the injury until that point, all you can remember is what you used, like your last moments, your last dunk, your last sprint up, and that's all you can remember.
What it felt like.
Yeah, so, and in your mind, it's like, all right, it's time to do it, and you can't. So it kind of just f***s you as a person, and it's like, will I ever be that again?
Yeah.
And it's that gray area. It's like confidence, it's like reality, and then it's that whole gray area that you just kind of stuck in until you get to that point of confidence, if that makes sense.
How did you address that? How did you deal with that?
That's kind of where I got to the point of like, never get too high, never get too low. Because I've been on record saying this was a lot of dark days for me and it was a lot of good days. Yeah. And in those dark days, it was just like, man, I don't even know if I'm able to do this. Maybe they're right. Like, and then it's the whole slogan of 0 doubt and just, it's like, maybe they're right. But then that doubt creeps in. So it was hard.
Last question. Doing a piece on Steph said to me, we get into the whole MVP talk. Players know who that guy is in a given year, having that year. So I ask you, who's that guy? Who's having that year?
To me, it's Giannis. Like, he put together an entire year just consistently playing at a high level. And you can't take that away. I mean, and what James doing is incredible. But like I said, from start to finish, it was Giannis. I feel like James had more spurts. And like the spurt he's on right now is just incredible.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong. Like, it's incredible. But if we just base it off of spurts, we'll never really know who the MVP is if it was just based off spurts.
Yeah. I guess you're working with a good buddy of mine, Gary Owen.
Yeah.
We're both from Cincinnati.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate the time.
All right, that does it for this episode of Bucher and Friends. In the next podcast, I'll be joined once again by Ryan Hollins. We will break down the Bucks-Celtics matchup in the second round, among other things. We'll get ready for Rockets and Warriors as well, if we can. And we'll find out if Ryan has changed his tune at all about the Bucks after seeing them dispatch the Pistons the way they did in the first round. All that and more, but a lot of playoff talk in the next conversation with Ryan. In the meantime, as always, thanks for listening.